I cry and I spin, then numbness sets in as I rage like the lightning and thunder. Hope, trust, sanctity withers and dies. I deaden inside. It tears my soul apart and sours my mind. I deaden inside.
The feeling I had when I found out my mother was on drugs, the day I realized the thief in the night has broken and entered our household. Hope, trust, sacredness, my pilot light dimmed. There was nothing I can do but stew in despair, expressing my feelings in outbursts of defying pain was dwarfed by the feelings the drug possessed. Feeling my life is a mess, but truly contraire, still in despair, I cry. My life is now altered, feeling that all things have faltered. My mom was like my God at that age to me. Has God failed me? Where would I look to now for guidance? An inception of the wearing down and tear heart. Numbness sets in. The sentiment becomes stoicism. Indifference. I rage. Was it the finding out my mother did drugs? Or the acknowledgement that that spark in her eye wasn't because of me anymore? Or for my sake she would not quit and do it anymore? Or that I had to accept the things that she did that hurt me to the core, like mental body blows that later became my woes.
Body blows, body sees a shockwave of being, and I'm watching.
Well, I hope that got the mental juices flowing. As I mentioned, we have a wonderful panel with us here this evening. I'm actually going to let them introduce themselves, and I'm going to ask that they take maybe a very quick minute or two explaining their own connections to the criminal justice system and what they're doing now.
Good evening. My name is Jondhi Harrell, and I've spent 25 years in the criminal justice system. My first sentence was 7.5 years. My last sentence was 18 years. I was convicted of bank robbery. I was a bank robber. And my last sentence was a 20-year sentence, of which I did 18 years straight. I came home in September of 2009. I was able to earn my associate's degree while I was inside. I got my bachelor's degree when I came home, and I'm now in a master's degree at Temple University. I run a small organization called the Center for Returning Citizens. And what we do is we try to help persons who are transitioning from prison to freedom. When I came home, even though I had really prepared for my transition, I had spent years preparing for it, it was very, very difficult. There were many obstacles in my path. And it was so difficult that myself and several associates came together and we formed a nonprofit to help others to smooth their transition. During the course of my struggles, I've been involved with many other organizations, and I've joined Decarcerate PA, and our goal is to ultimately abolish prisons. Matt Pilsher, who wrote and directed the film, is an associate of ours, a wonderful person, and he asked us to come and represent him in the film this evening.
Hi, my name is Thomas Dichter. Like Jondhi, I'm also a member of Decarcerate PA, and I'm also a graduate student at the University of Pennsylvania. And I guess just to say a quick word about Decarcerate PA and our vision, there's 3 key demands that we're putting forward in our vision for Pennsylvania. The first is an end to prison construction. Here in Pennsylvania, we're still building prisons, even though across the board, many people are starting to recognize how out of control the system has gotten. The second demand is for decarceration, for policies that will allow the prison population to go down. Because if we're not going to build new prisons, as the film shows, the horrors of overcrowding can only be addressed through decreasing that prison population. And the last thing, interconnected point, is community reinvestment. We want to take the money that is currently going to building prisons, to the prison system, the criminal justice system, and reinvest that back into our communities, into things that we know will keep us safer, like housing, access to food, education, social services, healthcare. Thanks.
Hi, my name is Josh. I work with a group called the Youth Art and Self-Empowerment Project. We're a youth-led organization that work with young people that are charged as adults. We go into the Philadelphia adult jails and do art and poetry workshops every weekend with the youth that are charged as adults in Philadelphia. And we also go into different schools and we do workshops about structural violence, the school-to-prison pipeline, and youth being charged as adults. But I'm also a member of Decarcerate PA too, and I'm a happy member of Decarcerate PA. We're, like Tom just said, we're working to end mass incarceration in Pennsylvania and all across the state, all across the world. So, yeah, that's basically. I mean, oh yeah, how did I get involved? I got involved with just like organizing and being involved with Decarcerate and the Youth Art Self-Empowerment Project because I was locked up at 16 and I was charged as an adult. And I was held in an adult prison pre-trial. And, when I came home, when I was in, I was working with the Youth Art Self-Empowerment Project, but it was called the Youth Art and Spirituality Project. And they just did art and poetry workshops. So when I came home and a couple of the young people that were locked up with me, we all got together with the person that was leading the workshops in the jails. Her name was Sarah Morris. And we decided to make organization that could help young people transition from out of the prison system and become organizers and get employed and change and make a positive change in life. So we started employing young people part-time as organizers once they was released from the jails. And I was locked up for 18 months and my case was dismissed when I was charged as an adult. So when I got out, I just automatically started working with the Youth Art Self-Empowerment Project, and I've been doing this type of good work ever since.
My name is Anthony Dickerson. I'm a member of an organization called Philadelphia Innocence Project. I'm also a member of Decarcerated PA. I'm also a member of the Center for Returning Citizens. I served approximately 10 years in the state system for racketeering influenced corrupt organizations. I was released in July. And since then, I've been working with organizations. Primarily, what we do at the Philadelphia Innocence Project, we help prisoners nationally and in the state with their litigations, doing research for them. Currently, we're trying to abolish life without parole in Pennsylvania.
Great. So it occurred to me that I haven't introduced myself yet. For those of you who don't know me, I am Dr. Shaw. I'm in the Sociology and Anthropology Department. I'm Assistant Professor of Sociology, and I teach criminology, criminal justice, law, any fun stuff around those issues. So what I would like to do is ideally have a back and forth. I have some questions pre-prepped, and I have one that I'll start with, but I want you guys to both listen, but take the time to think of your own questions, because I would like to come back and forth and also allow you all to ask questions as well. So I will get the ball rolling. And the first question I have for all of you, is there anything in the documentary that you feel is wrong or not quite accurate, or that you don't think is represented as well as it could be? And if the answer is no, I have a backup plan.
I wouldn't say wrong. I think that Matt has a very concrete vision of what is going on. And many of the people who are in the film are persons who have been working for a long time on the subject, and they're very knowledgeable. Teresa Schultz, who was in the film, her father is Russell Maroon Schultz, a noted political prisoner. She's a part of our group, and she's in weekly meetings, and she's a wonderful resource. So I don't think that there's anything specifically that he missed. Some things could be emphasized more. In my work with the Center for Returning Citizens, our major thing is jobs. When people come home, they have to find jobs. The possibility of finding a job when you're incarcerated and you come home with any kind of record, especially a long record, is very daunting. When I came home, I had a 18-year gap in my resume. It's a serious gap, you know. So how I filled it was all the jobs that I had done while I was inside. I dressed them up, put them on a resume, and went out and looked for a job. But it took me 4 or 5 months to find a job. I was in a halfway house situation, and they had a lot of restrictions. Several jobs that I got, they wouldn't let me have. I ended up with an associate's degree, cleaning remotes in a workshop for 4 months. That was the only job that I could find that would employ me. But I did that job so I wouldn't get sent back to prison. And every day I look for a better job until I find one. Now, many people who come home don't have that singular dedication to task. And after a while, they will fall by the wayside and go back to criminal activity. So we need to put into place structures that will aid and assist them to find jobs so they don't relapse.
I mean, in the film, I think everything was on point, and he addressed pretty much the whole system, how it really is. I think if you would have made it any longer, I don't know, I think it was good. I think it was perfect.
That's cool too.
I thought it could have went in a little more as to how prisons actually get built. Basically, taxpayers pay for it. And it's a business, and for some reason, we want this business in the state. And as long as we want it in the state, we're going to pay for it.
The author Michelle Alexander is quite prominently featured in the film, and her book, The New Jim Crow, which maybe some of you have read some of or been exposed to, has certainly done a huge amount to bring attention across the nation, across the world to this issue. One thing that, in terms of where an emphasis that she makes, both in the film and in that book, puts a lot on the war on drugs. And it's true that the war on drugs is a huge part of our mass incarceration crisis. But I think it's important to be careful to not look at that as the only thing that's going on. That if we were to let up on the war on drugs and decriminalize things, that would solve the whole problem. It can be tempting to think that it all boils down to a problem of the war on drugs and of not the phrase very popular, non-violent drug offenders. But I think if everyone who is in prison for a drug offense were released today, it would decrease the national prison population by something like 1/3, is a figure that I've heard, which out of well over 2 million people who are incarcerated right now, and many more than that who are on parole or probation, that's not the whole picture. So I think this issue requires us all to think very carefully about all kinds of activities that are labeled as crime, all kinds of violence that our communities face, and think about not just what are ways that are more productive that we can respond to violence, but think hard and ask tough questions about the causes and the roots of that violence in the first place, and how we approach that as a society.
If I could say one more thing, I've forgotten. One thing that Matt could have focused on, maybe that he didn't, is